And I just remember this tunnel, like, because it was your life flashes before your eyes when you have a car accident. So you see everything. And I saw this tunnel, and it was like black and white stripes coming at you. Um, and then a big white tunnel in the middle, which I kind of could see. And I was like going down. And then that's when this benevolent or alien being was like, go back now, it's time. And there were other little blobs of things. I can't quite work out what it was, like little black blobs of, I don't know what they were, but just they're almost like figures, but not like a big figure, like tiny little things, like blobs of, yeah, just if I can describe it now, it would be, yeah, little angels and or just like, light beings that are here to kind of help you on your path.
I'm very happy to have Morgana Marie with me today. Morgana, thank you so much for being my guest. I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Tia. It's lovely to be here and looking forward to share my journey and, yeah, just seeing what flows through me, wisdom, consciousness. Very open to the conversation and where it goes. So thank you.
You've actually had three near-death experiences that you wanted to come on and share with us and some wisdom that you learned from them. Why don't you take me back? How did this all get started for you?
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and I will just say, I don't put too many definitions on what these experiences were, because I have had a few people say, "Oh, that was never a near-death experience, and it wasn't this, and it wasn't that," and I was like, what matters really is the growth and the ascension that's come from these experiences, in whatever way people want to define it as. So let's backtrack back into my 20s. And I remember being in Camden Market in London, having a massive fight and conflict with my partner at the time. And this energy just rushed, and rage just rushed over to me. And I said, that's it, I'm out, I'm done. And I went across to the train station, and I thought I actually put myself in front of the train. That's what I feel like happened. I remember everything rushing around, like people are rushing around, screaming. Um, and before I knew it, I was in the police car and I was arrested and I was injured, I was hurt. There was just like lots of noise. And I remember being taken to this, like, there wasn't an ambulance around or anything like that, but there was like loads of police cars. I was taken to a local mental health institution. I can't even remember where it was at the time. It was just a blur. I was going in and out of consciousness. I could hear all these noises. I remember looking at myself in the car, seeing myself in the car. So there was like two of me, and it was like in altered states of consciousness. And I remember getting to that hospital, and it was like, how did I get here? What am I doing? And I don't even remember what happened. And it was like I checked out. Now I know to this day it probably was a walking, um, but I don't know. I don't know what happened really. All I know is that from that period onwards, everything was so different. I saw the world differently. I saw people differently. I looked at myself. I was injured. Yes, I was hurt. There was scars all down my arms. I was angry. But I just remember being in this state of, what just happened? What happened? I had no idea. I didn't know where I was. And that was the thing that was the most confusing. And I remember just, it was like, it was almost like hours had passed, but a short period of time had passed. It was like I had no concept of time. And yeah, it was just a blur. I mean, I managed to go home the day after. I had to stay in there overnight because they had to assess me and make sure that I was safe to go home. How I got home, I don't even remember. Um, and so I don't really have all the cognition of what happened. But that was my first experience. And all I can remember from this is just this being so out of my body and looking at myself in the hospital, looking at myself in the car. And it was like these two versions of me. So strange. So strange.
It was almost like something come came in and was like, okay, time for you to wake up.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, you know, and I don't remember, I don't know what happened to my, that sense that, I mean, maybe I am still this person, but I felt very different from that day onwards.
That's a
Yeah.
really beautiful experience. And so the changes that came to you, they were positive.
They were a bit frightening to start off with, because I have to say this for people that may be going for their own experiences. It was very disruptive, and I was going through a grieving process for quite some time, because I don't actually know, I didn't know what was going on, and I was so confused for a while. And it was only until I actually later on in my life was able to process this that I really understood kind of what happened. But for some time I was, yeah, quite confused. I was going through like grief. There are many ways in which we experience grief, whether you lose yourself, whether you lose someone, whether you lose a pet, whether whatever it is. It was like a grieving process. um but what came out of that was spiritual awareness and a consciousness of change that enabled me to be able to step into my spiritual side and see the world differently, which was something I was never open to before. I was not spiritually minded. I don't feel very closed off to any of this.
You didn't have much of a spiritual background. Did you have a religious background? Were you born and raised with beliefs of the afterlife or anything like that?
No, none of it. No, I come from a very black and white family in terms of, no, this is just how things are. There is nothing else to life than just this. And I remember my parents saying to me, I don't know where you come from, but you're not like any of us. And it's true, because I'm not. I'm like the strange one of the family. That it just sees everything differently, and I do. So I now know that I am the awaker of the family. And whether they choose to go on that path or not, that's up to them. But yeah, I'm kind of the activator of the family, our activator of people now, in my family and generational line. But try and say that language to someone that doesn't get it, they wouldn't get it. So yeah.
So you didn't even have a background to lean on. And so all of this must have just been flabbergasting as you tried to navigate almost like a whole new life. What
Yeah.
happened? What happened after this? This is kind of like the beginning of your spiritual journey then. What happened? How did you go, or where did you go from here?
So yeah, I remember going to college, and I remember going studying sort of creative industry, art and fine art, and that's when I sort of started tapping into my creativity. And that's when I felt like, oh, I started to be very intuitive, and I was like reconnecting with my work and things at college. And I remember people around me, again, they felt very different, and I felt very different. And but then I'd never really felt like I fitted in, or like I found very lost. I was like really lost for quite some time. And it was only when, like, a few years later, that I had another experience where I had a car accident and smashed my car into the side of the road. And I don't know how that even happened, but it just did. It was like, it's like, literally, it almost felt like the car swerved over to the left hand side. And then luckily no one was hurt, but my car was damaged, and I had to pretty much get picked up. And it was like, again, shake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. He was the words like, wake up, what's going on, wake up. And again, I was so confused. What just happened? Have I hurt people? What the... But I now remember, at the time, again, this, seeing myself in the car, and then there was like my spiritual self, my soul self looking down. And it was like my higher self, I think it was my higher self saying, wake up, we're here, it's time. um but then it was like, I couldn't really, it didn't click, because it wouldn't, why would it? So I was just kind of very confused again. But it was like another layer was being peeled. That was quite a damaging experience, but also it enabled me to be able to go to college, and study complementary therapies and Reiki healing and energy work. Just had a light bulb moment. Go and do this. And I did. I just kind of followed that. Because I was on antidepressants after that. I found that I was very depressed. I kind of went for a really dark slump, a dip. And then, yeah, ended up going on to this course. And then that's when I realized that I was somewhat different to others and started to understand that I had like healing abilities. Started seeing like visions of people, working with my clients, started seeing where they were like stuck in the body, where there was pain in the body, and I just used to sort of sense it and know it, and without really knowing it. So that happened, and that was very bizarre because I'd never experienced that before. And I used to feel things in my body if I was around people. I'd be like, why are my shoulders hurting all of a sudden? I was like, is this mine, or is this because my shoulder was fine a minute ago? And then I realized, like, I had later on now in life, I realized that I have synesthesia, and it's like I mirror people, and so I understand if there's got some pain in their body that I feel it. So that was like start of an awakening of like a spiritual gift or a gift or whatever you want to call it, and that was an awareness. And then the third time again was another car accident, not so great with cars, and I was driving down the road, rushing to get home, smashed into the side of the road, went full over, full circle 360 on the roof. And this was like a blind spot in the middle of nowhere. And all I could see was like flashes of light and black and white and colors, glass smashing everywhere. It was like this tunnel. And I could see myself upside down in the car. And I could see the dead person of myself, but then it wasn't dead because I was still alive. And then I had this almost like alien entity kind of vision saying, it's time to go back. It's time to go back now. And I come back, and then this guy comes running out to the car out in the middle of nowhere and pulls me outside the car and then calls the ambulance. And the ambulance was there within about 20 minutes, and I was unscathed. Not one, nothing, no hurt, no damage, nothing.
You had this alien entity vision, you said. Can you describe what this alien entity looked like?
Yeah, like a little Martian, like a little, well, not a little Martian, massive, massive, like white head and big eyes and weird fingers and yeah, kind of grey, white, bizarre, like almost like jelly like.
But they didn't seem like they were bad. They were benevolent
No,
feeling.
friendly, yeah, friendly. It's like go back, but it wasn't obviously those words. It was some sort of weird language, but the energy was go back. It was like go back, time to go back. But when I went back, it was confusing because I was thinking, well, where am I again? I don't know where I am. And I was like, is this like I was so confused. What was going on? And I just remember this tunnel, like because it was your life flashes before your eyes when you have a car accident, so you see everything. And I saw this tunnel, and it was like black and white stripes coming at you, um, and then a big white tunnel in the middle, which I kind of could see, and I was like going down, and then that's when the this benevolent or alien being was like, go back now, it's time. Oh, I don't know. Anyone call me crazy, but yeah.
It's very interesting. And that you saw the tunnel and you said at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, it's at the end of the tunnel. It's like go back. And there were other little blobs of things. I can't quite work out what it was, like little black blobs of, I don't know what they were, but just they're almost like figures, but not like a big figure, like tiny little things, like blobs of, yeah, just if I can describe it now, it would be yeah, little angels and or just like light beings that are here to kind of help you on your path. But yeah, they were just like black, but they were friendly. It's like, and I just remember them kind of swaying me back.
And they were Kind of just floating around in the tunnel?
Yeah, they were like at the end of like the corner on the right hand side and then the left hand side. They almost look like, the only way I can kind of translate that is they were the welcomers of the afterlife. They were welcoming you, but it wasn't my time.
Did this alien being, did it feel familiar to you? Like maybe someone you knew?
It didn't feel familiar, but it felt very heartwarming, like a massive hug. Like I felt safe. I was like, oh, I'm home. I actually felt I was home. When I come back, it didn't feel like home. It was like, what's this strange planet?
So did it take you a little while to kind of come to grips with who you were when you came back?
Took me many years. It's taken me quite a few years of integration and healing and understanding and processing what happened and to get to a comfortable position that I am today to actually be here and belong here. Because now I know that it was my soul checking out and wanting to leave, basically. But now I know that, and with all the healing work that I've done, it's safe to belong here, safe to be here, so I can stay here. But I have had several moments where it's been like, oh, I want to check out and go again. And I recognize it now. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now it's time to just maybe just do a bit of integration time and healing and just kind of come back.
When you were in your near-death experiences, there was a couple times where you were kind of looking back at yourself. You thought maybe you were your higher self. What were you thinking? Were you having any thoughts at that time?
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, where am I? But then, like, what I was seeing was like, it's actually okay. There was like a comfort coming from that. It's like you going through this now, but you're going to be okay. And it was just kind of this reassurance that you're going to be okay. You have to stay. And I just remember that it's kind of like a guardian energy of that. Like you've got this. It's okay. We've got you. But it was like a comfort energy. But even though I don't really cognitively understand what was going on there was a sense of security and safety at the time.
So you never felt like you were in danger or uncomfortable?
First time, yeah, I felt that was probably the worst one because I just didn't want to be here really. And it felt like a punishment to be here actually. I was like, I just want to go back home where I'm from. This doesn't feel like I should be here. So it was like having to understand being on a different planet and it was confusing. So that was quite painful for me. And those other two times were quite painful as well. But then I realized soon after that actually it was just part of that spiritual experience that I needed to go through. And then I was able to like manage the support was coming in. There was like met people, and I call like my soul family were coming in to help me, and I met people, and that's how it kind of got on my path to where I am today. So it was like I was never really alone. Um, these people were coming in to help me, assist me go through that and understand, make sense of it all.
That's very interesting that people have come to you who are helping you along your path since your experiences. Do you feel like this was all planned out for you or that maybe you planned it?
Oh, my soul definitely planned this. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely wrote a contract somewhere. God knows why. But yes, I wrote a contract to do this, to come back, to learn, to grow. So yeah, I wish I could unwrite that contract, but no, I don't actually feel that. I'm actually grateful for these lessons and learnings and taught me a lot.
Do you think maybe part of it is what you're doing right now, sharing this message with the world so that you can help others to wake up also?
Yeah, I just got tingles. Yeah, I do actually. I do because you see, the thing is, mental health and depression and anxiety is often very defined as something. And if we can really understand spiritually what's really going on, then we can prevent such catastrophes and the mental health in the world. I believe that education is important to come through. And this is just any channel. I'm not even thinking. thinking about this, but this is clearly just coming through and whatever needs to be said. But yeah, I believe it's a preventative and it can be prevented. And if people are open to a spiritual perspective, it could be
So,
a lot different.
so what really is happening here?
We are on a school, in a school, like an earth school. So I believe that we are learning to evolve as spiritual, benevolent beings so we can ascend and basically unlearn all our karma from our generations so we can thrive in a world of the future, so this actual planet can continue to thrive. So although there's chaos, catastrophe and destruction, the only way in which anything new can be reborn or born is through that catastrophe and chaos. A lot of the time, like a building is broken and damaged, then another one is born or built. And that's what I'm just kind of being shown. It's like this ascension. The ascension is enabling people to move from lower frequencies of fear and scarcity and lack and pain and suffering to a place of love and compassion and joy, freedom and liberation. And we've got to be willing to surrender our inner pains and our secrets, because it's only our secrets that really keep us sick and in pain. And we have to kind of be willing to heal that so we can move forwards and make this world a better place. So everyone can come together and connect and not be living in separation.
I think that's what's on a lot of folks' minds right now is these changes that are happening, not just on, physical level, but a spiritual level as well. In our politics, in our healthcare, all kinds of changes are happening, things like we've never seen before. This is all a part of the plan. It's meant to happen this way.
I perceive it is, yes. This is coming from my higher self, not me normal self. But yes, I'm getting yes. Yes, it's part of the spiritual ascension of the earth. So the earth can continue because it needs healing. The earth needs healing itself. And for that to continue to grow and be regenerated, we have to be willing to grow and regenerate ourselves so we can work in harmony together. So yeah, we always have choice, and we have to choose. We always have that choice to choose whether we want to go into drama or whether we want to go into evolution. And it's all choice. We always have choice, even if we don't think we do.
The spiritual evolution that's happening, is it planet wide or is it more of a personal experience?
It's definitely collective and global. It's happening in everyone's lives, but everyone's own personal experiences are different, and everyone experiences it differently. And everyone's got their own unique experience to this. Yeah. And it's only if you understand that, and you might not get it cognitively, but energetically, if you can understand what I'm saying, there's this is an opportunity for growth and healing and love, and that for people to understand that you don't have to feel like a victim, you don't have to feel like you have to be stuck or like life's happening to you, because I've been there, felt that too, but I had to choose to not be that and to choose to move beyond that and to create the life that I wanted to create when I didn't think I could. So it's given us an opportunity in every moment. There's opportunities in every moment.
So we have the opportunity in every moment to be able to choose to be a conscious creator
Yeah,
or to stay asleep.
yeah, absolutely.
How can we choose? How can we become more aware and keep that awareness about us so we can be conscious creators of our life?
Let me see what comes through. It's awareness, really. It's having to being aware all the time. How do you get aware? You just ask to activate your awareness muscle, and you can just, the more aware you are, the more willing to be aware you are, the easier you will find life to be. Yeah, you may be confronted with things you don't always want to be confronted with. We have to look at our darkness, but once we can acknowledge our darkness, we can move into lightness and playfulness and all the other energies. But it's never to judge or shame your darkness, because it's part of who we are. And to have equilibrium in our life, we've got to have the best of both and bring healing and compassion to both sides of ourselves. Yeah, but awareness is key. And committing to awareness and consciousness and always being conscious enables you to have that state of where everything becomes like a meditation. Your life becomes a meditation. You can live in the moment, you live present in your daily life. It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, we naturally have our human experience, which is the challenges, the obstacles, the hurt, all of that we go through. But then we can move past that without resisting. The more we resist that, the harder it is. If we don't resist it and we can move through it and go, you're able to move forwards, then you can shift into a lighter, higher conscious state. It's not always easy, but being willing to understand when you're going into that heaviness or that darker aspect and what you're learning from it, then you can quickly shift into the higher states of consciousness.
I hear a lot of people talking about the awareness and being present, and that being key to being conscious creators of our life.
Mm.
Do you feel like meditation helps with that?
It can do, although if you're neurodivergent like me, meditation can be my worst nightmare, because all I want to do is just do this, and everything else, and rolled into one. So it can be quite challenging to sit and go, oh. But what I would say is find your way of meditating. Go for a walk, play a guitar, put some like heavy metal music on, listen to like your music you love and get in your body. Like, you know, find your way of meditating. It doesn't have to be sitting in a room going om. Um, you know, find what works for you. You got to find what's fun for you.
I love that you bring that up because it, for me, I also find it difficult to just sit. It's almost like finding the time to do it and just sit and try to silence my mind. I do try to do it on a regular basis, but for me, it's a lot easier to kind of integrate that in my daily activities, like if I'm doing dishes or cooking or going for a walk or something like that, to try to integrate the awareness there. So thank you for bringing that up because I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with the thought of, oh my gosh, I got to meditate and it's too difficult. So then they just give up and then they don't try other modalities or other ways of connecting with their still self. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's
That's
okay.
great advice. Going back to this ascension that we're going through, is this something that is continuing to happen? Is there going to be like a big event and then we're going to be, ascended on the other side? Or is it just going to be like a slow culmination of rising consciousness?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the information I'm getting coming in, because this is just coming through, it's going to be like an 8 year time frame where there's going to be mass change. Um, and it's how we resist or how we navigate that change. We can either use it to our advantage or our disadvantage, but there's this 8 years time frame that we're moving into where there's going to be big shifts. So yeah, the consciousness of the planet is dramatically going to change. We're moving out of outdated business models and out of sort of patriarchal ways of being, living, so we can move into more of a feminine approach to living, like being more community based in our work as well, and having more collaborations. So it won't be as like solely working on our own. We'll be like combining our gifts together. It's like everything's coming to closer together. So the world is healing, and we're coming into community, and we're coming into collaboration and more collective connection. So yeah, I'm just sort of being shown over the next 8 years, there's a big shift in that timeline. And especially we've got the A8 portal coming up, which is a great time of manifestation, by the way. So if you're wanting to manifest your goals and desires, this is the perfect time for you to put that out there, because things are happening quite fast, like really fast. So use this energy and the cosmic changes to make that happen with more ease. Yeah, we're basically being taught how to have more ease in our life, how to like stop struggling, stop trying really, really hard, and move into more receptivity and acceptance and receiving energy as well, creating our life for our higher consciousness. So yeah, that's probably why you're going to see a lot of a rise and expansion in YouTube channels like this one, coaches, more healers, maybe people moving from corporate work into their own businesses. Yeah, we're moving more into an entrepreneurial world. Yeah,
What kind of changes can we expect to guard ourselves or be prepared?
let's see. So it's definitely making sure you're spending time with people who are on your same wavelength, because we're being tested in relationships at the moment quite a lot. So it's really about who you surround yourself with, making sure that your inner circle is people that you can be around, people that uplift you. So our friendship circles, our relationship dynamics are changing drastically. There might be a lot more divorces on the rise and relationships breaking down. I have certainly heard this in my work. It's all been about relationship. My relationship's breaking up. My relationship's breaking up all week. That I have one client that's not had a relationship breaking up. So it's, and I don't mean that to scare you. It's more about really stepping into our higher self and our highest truth in relationship, upgrading our worth. So giving ourselves the opportunity to step into our truth and our power. We don't need to guard ourselves as much. It's more about letting the universe kind of contribute to you and being willing to ask and receive the help and support and the guidance, because we have a lot of spiritual energy, light beings, entities that are actually wanting to contribute and they're wanting to help. So are you willing to let them in to contribute to you? They're not all doom and gloom and demonic. They can be very uplifting and supportive, and they want to come in and help us. So are we willing to let them in? Because we can co-create with them.
And how do we let them in? Is there a technique that you recommend?
Sure, you can just ask and say any light beings or entities that are willing to contribute to my money flows, my relationships, my business, calling you in to help me, please. And just give them give them like a job to do, be playful with it. I do this all the time in my life. It's like, can you go and get me my next client, please? And they have to be this, this, and this, and this. And then I get a client and I'm like, oh, thank you. And you acknowledge them. So be willing to ask and they will help. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a certain command or way of doing it. Just like you're talking to a person to help you, because they do want to contribute.
Is there a reason that this is happening on our planet now? Is there space that we've moved into or certain frequency change? Why is it happening now?
Why is it happening now? I'm just getting divine timing. It's like a divine timing thing. This was always going to happen. There's actually a lot of truth in chronicles and historical predictions. So I'm being shown that this was actually in divine timing for the planet to happen, because we're moving into a place of enlightened states where everyone is kind of being given an opportunity to enlighten themselves. We're going back to our nature self, our earthly self, where we kind of first started. It's like a ending of an old cycle, a karmic cycle for the planet, and we're opening into a new way of functioning on the planet. So it's ending of old cycles and new ones starting. That's one, yeah, being shown.
You say that's what you're being shown. You were given some gifts on your way back. Can you tell me about those?
Yeah, so I was given the gift of perception, intuition, and being a downloader and a channeler for spirit messages and guides and information that just wants to come through. I forget I even do it sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm just saying all this stuff, and it's all just coming in. And I never used to have that before. I didn't know the answers to things. I didn't know about how to do this, this, and this, but it just pours through. It's like all this wisdom just comes in and through me. So yeah, perception, intuition, awareness, consciousness, the body consciousness, being willing to kind of talk to my body and ask my body to create with me and help me. And it's just about having consciousness with everything. um yeah, it's a bit bizarre, but it's a great thing to have. And also to see, I do see spirit as well sometimes. I don't mean any harm. I do see them, I hear them, I sense them. And to communicate with past loved ones as well. Sometimes I get people that want to communicate with a past loved one, and I do, and I'll just channel whatever they want to say. And it's like having a conversation with a normal person. It's a beautiful thing, actually. I used to be really afraid of it. When I first was waking up to this, I was like, oh, that's really, because I had all these beliefs that, well, you can't be, you're a witch, or, you know, you can't be doing this is evil and wrong. And I had to tackle through that to be able to access those gifts as well on in a comfortable way. So yeah, I'm really grateful for them, actually. And I always say that. So it's worth it.
Do you have like a family of guides or a group of guides that you stay connected to at all times?
They're changing all the time. I don't know their really like their names or anything like that, but I just get that they're changing all the time. And I do have females, I have younger children, and then there's like male energies there too. So I call upon them depending on what I need in that moment. So they help me to create or do something that I'm struggling with. And they're there if I need to embrace more of my maybe abilities of writing, for example, which I'm naturally not very good at. So I'll call on them to help me to write with more ease. Or yeah, if I'm struggling with working on someone and I don't know what's wrong with them or what's where they're stuck, they'll come in and just show me. So they're like assistants, spiritual assistants, but they change all the time. In fact, I just renewed them recently because the old ones were kind of an old contract and they needed to go, and they had done their bit, and I was ready for some new ones. So I called in some new ones, and they've been very contributive to my creations and yeah, my new phase of where I'm at now. So you can choose to do that as and when, and ask for, yeah, whatever you want to ask for, they will come in and support you.
So these gifts that you have, they're something that everyone has the access to if they are open to it.
Yeah, yeah, everyone has this ability, really. The only way you wouldn't be able to is if you don't think that it's possible, or you're afraid of it in some way, or there's some block that's stopping you from connecting. But everyone has the ability. Yeah, they do. And it doesn't even have to take years and years and years and years. You know, some people take years and years to master it. If you're open to it, it can happen. It doesn't have to be years and years of work on it. So yeah, they're always available. It's like knocking at your door and being like, hi, can I help? I
Have you been able to communicate with the alien being that you saw in your experience?
haven't. So it's strange that you say that, because a friend of mine resembles a Martian energy, and I see it all the time around them. I kind of get that energy with them. And it's funny, it's almost like I communicate with that Martian version of themselves. And I think it's funny because it's the same energy, actually. I don't know where they're from. Um, but yeah, they're certainly not from planet Earth. So yeah, it's a playful energy.
And when you are seeing dead people or communicating with spirits that have passed over, are you just like when you go out to the grocery store, you just see like dead people like hanging out with other people that are still alive, or how does that happen for you?
Oh yeah, so I have what's called like office hours. So I know it's quite funny, but I had to put this boundary in place because otherwise I'd have all the energies wanting to come through all the time. But I have office hours, so I only let them come in as and when I'm working mainly, and then I switch off and I go, I'm going to go to shopping now, or I'm going to go here now. This is my time, and I have my boundary there, so I don't get disturbed. with them, but it doesn't mean that I'm not perceptive or intuitive or tuned in. That's a different thing completely. But yeah, I have like an office hour boundary thing that I have now. Yeah.
Now, with your family being uh, not religious, your family's not religious, are they accepting of these gifts that you have?
Definitely not. They think I'm nuts, crazy, weird, wrong, and all judgments under the sun. I get it all the time. And they keep saying, "Oh, you're gonna wake up one day," and I'm like, "Already am woken up. When are you gonna wake up?" So no, they don't accept it. But I've accepted that they don't accept it, and that's fine now. I used to get really upset about it and felt very lost because I wanted to be having a good relationship with my family. But I realized actually I needed to accept that that's where they're at, and this is where I'm at. So I had to make peace with it, and yeah, that's their choice, and this is my choice. So
I
yeah.
appreciate you sharing that because I think a lot of people go through the same thing where they're told they're nuts or they're crazy or they're off their rock or whatever term you want to use. And so people start to disbelieve their own experiences, their own gifts. So it's helpful, I think, for you to share that that happened with you as well. So people don't feel alone in this journey, that maybe their discoveries and their experiences are true.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, it is. It's so easy for people to gaslight you and say, "Oh no, you're just making it up." How many times have you heard that one? And it's thinking, well, that's your point of view and that's your understanding. But that's not my reality. My reality is this. It's taken me a long time to have that boundary though as well. I had to work on that. It wasn't easy, and then you close off because yeah, like you say, you feel crazy because someone made you feel crazy, so you cut it off. But you can't live your life cutting it off for other people's judgments or insecurities about it.
And on that note, some people say, or I've seen comments where people are talking about there's so many different truths, what they call quote unquote truths about near death experiences, about paranormal phenomenon, psychic abilities, all these things that we don't understand. Basically, the whole spiritual experience in itself. There's so many different truths out there. And so they feel like maybe there's not a legitimate backing behind it. What would you say to someone who's looking at it from that perspective, wondering why are there so many different perspectives in spirituality?
Yeah, I think everything's consciousness, so there is no right or wrong, really. Everyone's got entitled to their opinion or their point of view about something. I would say I wouldn't want to change someone's point of view if they've got a point of view about that. That's their point of view. But what I'd be willing to say is giving them an invitation to something different. And if they're not willing to acknowledge that there's something different, then they're just not willing to acknowledge it. And that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't disregard all the spiritual gifts and abilities that people have just because so many people say it doesn't happen or we've got so many misconceptions. It's that's not really relevant. What's relevant is everyone's personal experiences who have been through that. Yeah.
I think too that sometimes people understand things in different ways, so they need different symbolic representations
Yeah.
of the message. So
Yeah.
there it may seem like a different truth, but it's actually the same truth. The truth is there's many different paths,
Yeah.
in
Oh,
my
absolutely.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Everyone's path's different as well. I'm not going to have the same path as you. You're not going to have the same path as me. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just everyone's on their own path or journey, and everyone finds their own way in their own way. And if anyone's struggling with like, oh, am I doing the right thing or am I on the right path? Just know that you are, because you're always going to be on the right path. You just may feel like you're not on the right path because you're trying to choose what someone else is doing or fit into what other people are doing. You're always on your right path.
So I like that. So you would say there's no mistakes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's comforting.
This is massive awareness I had. Yeah. how many times do you go into like mistakes and failure mode? And it's like, well, actually, hang on a second. Is that really failure? Is that really a mistake? It's a choice that I made from my consciousness, or my higher self made that choice for me. And as long as you're learning from it and you're going, okay, well, what did I learn from that? And you're learning, embodying your virtues from that experience. And then it helps you to evolve.
The 8-year shift that we're going to see coming up, this is all for our highest and best good. What is the best path for us to kind of move through this 8-year tribulation without fear?
Yeah, it's a big one. Thank you. So, fear is fear. Fear is like I always remember this person saying, false evidence appearing real. So, remember, fear is kind of made up by the ego to keep you safe and protected, which your ego is. Your ego is great. The ego is great for that. But anytime you feel fear, just acknowledge, okay, what is this showing you and highlighting to you? And this will help you to acknowledge and lean into it more, because that's the point of something possible, something different, a choice that could expand your life greater than you ever imagined it to be. So anytime you feel the fear and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this, or it's just too terrifying, remember you always have your power, you're always in your power, and you're always being guided. And the reason you feel that intensity is because you're about to break into something that is change and different to what you've been doing. So it's going to bring up discomfort, and but just lean into it more, go into it, feel that. Try and find the playfulness in it as well. It's very easy to take life so seriously. If I've had to learn anything from spirit, it's just like have fun on the journey. Don't take life so seriously. So easy to kind of get in that. I'd also would say follow your own knowing. Even if you try and figure it out, or you're in your logical mind, I'm quite rational and logic a lot of the time as well. But I always have to remember, well, okay, let me just have a moment to understand this and use my logical brain, my rational brain, yes, but let me also tap into my intuition and my heart, follow that, because that's really where your truth is. So it's kind of good to acknowledge all these aspects of yourself and not disregard any of it. I hope that makes sense and help and can help, but
I,
that's what I would say.
I think that makes a lot of sense and it's very helpful. Thank you for sharing that. Is there something that we need to look out for, like a beginning? I know we've kind of been slowly going through things in the planet, but is there going to be like a big rush that we need to or that we can be aware of where the beginning of this tribulation is?
It's more happening incrementally. So you may notice places around you changing quickly, or shops upgrading, maybe old shops closing and then new ones opening. It's all incremental changes that are happening all around us. Technology is advancing more than ever. And so that is incrementally changing. But that's how it's going to be. It's not just going to be like, we're in it. It's incremental. And it's good to acknowledge the changes, because once you acknowledge it, you notice the positives and the evolution of that, and you become part of it rather than being stuck in the past, or feel like you're behind. It's rolling with it.
So that goes back to what you were talking about with awareness, just being aware of our surroundings and any changes that are happening and know that it's all a part of the process.
It is, yeah, yeah. It's just remembering that everything happens in the right divine timing, and everything is happening in the highest and best way. The highest and best way doesn't always mean like the most comfortable way or the most like exuberant joyful way, but just know whatever it is you're going through, you will always kind of come out greater and better off, always, every time. So it's why you have to kind of lean into it. And I've been going through this myself over the last month. It's been a whirlwind, and I've had to just lean into it and then surrender and then come back to it and cry and release and just let it all come out. And I'm going through it just like everyone else. Yeah, just go with the time, and If you try and resist it or you try and fight it, you make it worse, you make it harder for yourself. Try and fight against it, it just causes more stress, more anxiety. I will say about thriving in chaos as well. You know, we have to have both chaos and order to be able to thrive in life. And I would say anytime you feel like there's chaos, there's a difference between havoc and chaos. Chaos is like actually a creative energy. So if you find yourself doing this thing and that thing and multiple things, and there's a lot going on in your world, actually go into that energy. You don't always need to have everything a certain way and have this and this and be perfect in every single way, to have everything planned. It's like giving us the opportunity to be out of control. Being out of control is not about like not caring or being crazy. It's actually about taking off the brakes and letting the universe contribute to you, and like letting everything kind of come to you. So it's not easy, but if you can try that, you will find that things start to happen in easier ways. And yeah, you'll find there's more flow in your life, you achieve your goals a lot easier, and you'll just find you're more relaxed in your life. It's not always easy to get to that place, but I'd say try and lean into being out of control, like the not knowing, because humans are wired for certainty, right? We are, because it brings some element of safety, but we never really know what's going to happen. So just be in the not knowing, and be willing to receive the magic and miracles and possibilities of life that are always around, always around. That's what I would say.
I think that's such an important message because security comes, I feel like we think security comes with um, the knowledge of what the future holds, you know? And so
Yeah,
for you to say it's okay to not know and it's okay to kind of just bliss out into the chaos and be open to receiving the future instead of, I feel like knowing is trying to control it, so not trying to control it. That is
yeah.
just excellent advice. I appreciate that. Useful
Thank you.
for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. And me too. I'm always having to remind myself of it as well. So
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Oh, I'm going to remember your words. This has been so beautiful. If my viewers wanted to reach out to you, how can they find you?
thank you so much. So yes, I'm on my website, which is www.morganamarie.com. And yeah, you'll find me over there. And also I'm on LinkedIn as well, Morgana Marie.
I'll link those down below if anybody in the video description. If anybody wants to reach out to you, they can just go there and just click on those links. If you had one message that you'd hope the audience would take away from our discussion today, what would it be?
Be willing to embrace change. As someone who comes from resisting change, I used to hate change. I used to find it disruptive and painful and agony. When you actually embrace change, you be the change that you want to see. So you allow that change to gift to you. And if you don't embrace it, you can't expect anything to change. And if you didn't get any of that, just listen to it again until it goes in.
Thank you so much, Morgana. You're beautiful inside and out. I appreciate you coming on to share your experiences and your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing if you enjoy near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative stories. It helps the algorithm know that this information is useful and push it out to more people. And that's the goal, to get as many people to know that we are eternal spiritual beings and that we never die. Our bodies might die, but our essence will never die. And I want people to live with less fear. Let's all spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell so you get all the notifications when my videos post. Thank you for all of your support. I'm sending love to you.